Hi, I'm Coach Christian, and welcome to this video. I help extremely stressed people to deal with their stress by observing it for themselves. Very welcome. I'm very glad that you're in this video. I usually publish videos every single day, and the video is designed to help you deal with a problem that is stressing you out. And typically, in every video, I'm answering a question that a member of the Observe community has. So, before we get into today's question, I'd like you to know that if you have a question that you'd like me to answer, right, or you have something you're thinking about, just add it in the comment section below in this video. Right? This will ensure that I know what you're thinking and I also know what your questions are because I might feature your questions in an upcoming video. After all, I'm making these videos for you, so I really want to know what you want. All right, now that we are done with that, let's now get into the question of the day. Coach Christian, I am single right now. And before it wasn't such a big deal. But now all of my friends are getting married, and some even have kids. I am feeling lonely and left out, and even depressed because I might end up being alone all my life. How do I deal with this loneliness? Coach Christian, I am single right now, and before it wasn't such a big deal. But now all of my friends are getting married, and some even have kids. I am feeling lonely and left out, and even depressed because I might end up being alone all my life. How do I deal with this loneliness? Okay, so this is going to be a common phenomenon, right? So the way our society is set up is, I mean, you're encouraged, right? So it's like things are set up. I think I've noticed this in pretty much everywhere I've been, right? In every part of Africa I've been to, in the United States. I mean, it's like expected that you get married at some point, right? It's not really okay to be single, right? So people who are single are actually kind of, when you're a kid, like in Africa, at least where I grew up, if you're a kid, you're encouraged to be single. Like if you're in high school and elementary school, your parents want you to be single because they say they want you to focus on your studies. And if you're a girl, they want to make sure you don't get pregnant, right? So, but then obviously over time the perspective will change. Now you start to receive pressure from your parents, to get, they want to see the prospect. Are you going to get married? Are you going to have a kid? At least, do you have a relationship? Is there hope? So that's from the parental side or from the community side. Also, you're going to probably face it from your friends, right? And this is kind of what the listener is going through, right? If you hit a certain age, let's say you're in your 20s, late 20s, early 30s, right? Now all of your friends are getting married, all of them are into relationships. Um, I mean, now you begin to feel really left out. You feel like lonely, like unloved, that sort of thing. Or you'll never find love. Nobody cares about me. This is how it will always be. These kinds of thoughts. And basically, the questioner here is asking, Coach Christian, how do I deal with this loneliness? So again, I guess the first thing I'll have to say is this: must you do what everybody else is doing? Right? So I'm not saying don't get into a relationship, be single. I'm not saying that. I'm also not saying get into a relationship. None of that. Right? This is totally up to you. It depends on your reality. But let's look at things. Right? So if your motivation for getting into a relationship, right? If your motivation, right? If your motivation for getting into a relationship is because you're feeling lonely and left out, right? Then I question that motivation. Because is a relationship with, let's say, a girl or a guy, is such a relationship gonna make you not feel lonely? Have you ever been in a crowd before, right? In a group of many people, in a room with, I don't know, 20 people, or in the middle of a party and felt totally alone, right? So First of all, it depends on your motivation, isn't it? If you want to go into a relationship to cure your loneliness, then take some time to observe lonely people. One thing you're going to find out, sorry, take some time to observe people in relationships. One thing they will tell you is that relationships don't cure loneliness. Sure, you have someone next to you, but it doesn't cure that feeling of being alone, of not being understood, um, of being left out, of not mattering. All that, all those stuff, you still experience them, whether you are in a relationship or not, right? Because you see, the loneliness that you're talking about is really just thoughts in your head and sensations in your body, right? So it's gonna be like some thought, oh wow, look at that guy, he has love. Oh, look at that, my brother just got married. Oh my goodness, um, look, everybody around me is doing well, man. I'm alone. I might never find anybody. You see, all these are thoughts running through your head, okay? And then they're gonna have corresponding effects on your body, right? You'll feel a certain way as a result of thinking those thoughts. So you see, the problem is coming from your thoughts have gone on a rampage, and you don't really know how to handle your thoughts and emotions. But you're thinking to yourself, hey, let me get into a relationship, right? If I get into a relationship, then those feelings will go away. But you see, even when you're in a relationship, even when you're connected and occupied and surrounded by people, these thoughts and emotions are still there. Maybe at the beginning the excitement will be there, but after a while they'll come back, right? There'll be new problems, new thoughts to grapple with, right? Oh no, what if now you're in a relationship and you're thinking, what if she leaves me? Right? What if this relationship doesn't last? You know? Or like, I mean, I really thought that this person is going to complete me, right? But I still feel incomplete. This feeling of incompleteness, this feeling of loneliness, is not coming from the relationship or lack of a relationship. People who are in relationships have the same feelings you do. It's just maybe a different form. But this this is the key, right? We want to look at the problem. Where is it coming from? The Sorry, there's a what a wheelbarrow passing by. What you have is a problem of incompetence. Your thoughts and emotions are like they've gone on a rampage. They're not doing what they want them to do, right? So there are times when your thoughts and emotions give you like a feeling of joy. Like for instance, when you remember a great moment you had in the past, a beautiful moment, right? You get into a beautiful state, you get excited. Or if you imagine a beautiful future that you can have, that also makes you joyful, right? So your thoughts and emotions sometimes give you a good feeling, right? Sometimes they work for you. They put you in a state you want to be in. But there are also times when these very same thoughts and emotions create misery and suffering for you. They create loneliness, they create fear, they create sadness, depression, all of this stuff, right? So the problem is not the thoughts and emotions, but the problem is a question of incompetence, right? If it was up to you, obviously, you'd like to be joyful and complete all the time. You'd like to be connected to everything and everyone around you. But the reality is, obviously, is that uh, there's a lot of times, like right now, you're feeling lonely. Maybe you're not in a relationship, or you're inside of a relationship and you still feel lonely. And so clearly, your thoughts and emotions are not, you're not in control of them, right? They work on their own, right? So really, the key to dealing with loneliness is not going to be to change your external environment, to get into a relationship or to leave one for a better relationship, because the source of it is not external, it's internal. It's from within you, right? So question is, well, how do you deal with this loneliness then, right? How do you deal with these feelings? Well, it's simple, right? What you need to do is, the first thing is, since the problem is a question of incompetence, you want to increase your competence. You want to become better at handling your own thoughts and emotions. Your suffering is coming from incompetence. So you want to become better at handling your own thoughts and emotions, because if you become better at handling your own thoughts and emotions, you're obviously not going to create a feeling of loneliness for yourself. You're obviously not going to create a feeling of depression, a feeling of being left out. You'll create something totally different. So, well, now the question, of course, will be, well, okay, fine. How do I become better at handling my own thoughts and emotions? And the key is this: observation. This is the beauty. And if you've listened to me talk, I've mentioned this a lot because it's very powerful. One of the things that, as a human being, it doesn't matter what the thing is. The more you observe it, the more you understand it. Hence, the more control you have over it. Right? If I drop you in a location you've never been in, at first it's intimidating, but as it could be intimidating, but as you observe the location more, move around, look at the people, eventually it becomes familiar and it becomes less stressful. If I give you a device that you've never used before, at first it's intimidating, you don't know how it works. But the more time you spend observing it, the more you understand it, and hence the better you are at using it. Right? So you gain more control over it. This principle doesn't just apply to external things, it also applies to your own thoughts and emotions. Your suffering is coming from incompetence. You have an imagination that you can't control, you have a memory that you can't control. Right? So the more you understand how your thoughts and emotions work, how your memory and imagination works, the more you're able to create the feeling you want, instead of letting yourself get lost in feelings of loneliness and being left out. So how do you augment your capacity to handle these thoughts and emotions? Well, that's what you do is you observe them. The more you observe your thoughts and emotions, the more you observe your memory and imagination, the more you understand them, the more familiar they become to you, the less likely you are to get lost in a feeling of depression, and the more likely you are to create the kind of state that you want to create. Right? Because unfortunately, getting into a relationship is not going to cure your loneliness. This loneliness is something you have to face. Right now it's a problem, and you want to know how to deal with it. You cannot escape. In society, the society teaches us all the time to escape. um, if you're feeling lonely, oh, find a boyfriend. If I don't know, your relationship is not working, go see a relationship expert. uh, if you're having negative feelings right now, think positive. All these are escapes. I want to ask you a question. When you feel lonely, right? Or let me put it this way: how much time have you invested into just sitting down and observing your own thoughts and emotions? You've spent perhaps your entire life studying the outside world, right? In school, they taught you all sorts of things: science, I know, architecture, perhaps. They taught you about the soil and farming and technology. You've learned all sorts of things. You've invested a lot of time into an external education. But how much time have you invested into your internal education? Understanding the basics of being human, which is your own thoughts and emotions. How much time have you invested in that? And I'm not saying taking a psychology course. A psychology course is also external. It's just a bunch of thoughts that some professor is telling you. Here, what I'm talking about is not getting what people have told you, but looking, observing your own thoughts and emotions, and figuring out how they work for yourself. How much time have you invested into that education? So if you're like most people, you've basically not invested any time. And is it any wonder that you don't know how to control your thoughts and emotions? Is it any wonder that your thoughts and emotions are controlling you? Is it any wonder that you're feeling lonely and depressed all the time? Of course, it's clear why that is happening. All right, okay, so I mean, I've hit around the 15-minute mark. I don't want to go too much here. Look, if you liked the ideas I was sharing and you want to learn more of these ideas, um, well, like I said before, I publish a video every single day. So if you just like this video, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell notification, ding, 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 ding. You will be notified whenever I come out with one of these videos. And for me, it's every single day I publish these videos to help you. And by the way, if you have a question that you'd like me to answer, please, in the comment section below, do ask the question. I may actually answer it in a forthcoming video. And also, again, you also just write comments below, right? Because I want to know what you're thinking. I'm making these videos for you, and if I don't know what you're thinking, it's going to be very difficult for me to make videos that actually serve you. Now, if you've liked this idea of the observe approach and you're wondering, well, how do I develop this inner education? How do I learn how to understand how my thoughts and emotions work? How do I do that? Well, okay, in that case, you're in luck, right? So if you go in the description of this video, there's a link to something I call the observe approach. If you click on that, you'll get free and instant access to a simple but very powerful method that you can apply immediately to deal with any problem that is stressing you out. And this is via observation, of course. Um, yeah, and that's it, man. Thanks very much for watching this video and hope to catch you on the next one. Bye.